Today's knife is it's a budget knife at a budget price, and you know what though? It's one that I would absolutely be happy to pay double for. Hey, I'm Jay, and if you're looking to buy a knife and you need to see what it's like first before you drop your hard-earned money on it, here's what you got to do. Click on subscribe so I can help you, and remember to click that bell notification so you don't miss a thing. So now you should be looking at all of the specs, which I personally measured myself. So for those of you interested, go ahead and pause and read. And this is the Tangram Santa Fe, which as usual, we'll get into what I like about this, and then we'll go over just some of the potential deal breakers that I see. But let's first go ahead and take care of those size comparisons very quickly. We're going to start out with the Zero Tolerance ZT0808. And how about the one knife that I feel is just about the same size as the Santa Fe, and that of course being the Benchmade Bug Out. How about, of course, the Spyderco PM2, and let's do two more. The Kershaw Blur, and the last one is going to be another Benchmade, the 943, the deal. Let's start with this gorgeous blade. We are looking at 3.375 inches of Akudo 440 steel with a blade width, so the profile from top to bottom is going to be 1.05 inches, which I really like. Generally, I tend to like blades that are right at about an inch in width or above. Now this is it's a flat ground modified sheep's foot, and the Santa Fe is just an absolutely fantastic slicer, and that's going to be because of the 2.6 millimeter blade thickness, which is very, very close to the blade thickness of the Benchmade Bug Out. The blade is riding on bronze washers, which I always actually like to see, because then that means, you know, I don't have to be afraid to maybe use this in a dirty environment. Now, the deployment is accomplished with the ambidextrous thumb studs that you see here, which leads us to probably one of my favorite features of this knife. And now, since it is just thumb stud deployment, there's going to be like no flipper tab that's going to get in the way, like here on the Kershaw Skyline. So if you go to cut on a flat surface with the Skyline, you're only going to get just, you know, the belly of this blade onto whatever you're cutting. With the Santa Fe, you get just about all of that sharpened edge is going to make contact with the flat surface. You do not see that very often with knives. The action is really, really good. I mean, look at that. And I'm terrible at flicking these knives. I always have to throw a little bit of wrist into it. I mean, always. Not the case here with the Santa Fe. And that's riding on washers. I absolutely love that. Now, part of the reason for this fantastic action is going to be, well, the strong detent. Now, I'm going to flip this over, and you're going to see there is absolutely no way that you are going to be able to shake that blade loose. Now, the closing action, it's not drop shut, and it probably never will be. And to be honest here, I'm okay with that. The centering here, I believe, oh yeah, that is very, very close to perfect. Very well done. And now once deployed, let's take a look. That liner is locking up, what do you guys say? 25, maybe, we'll call it 30%. The sharpening choil is darn near perfectly executed. I mean, both sides the same. I mean, that's better on some knives that I have seen costing way, way more than this, which we will get to that price very, very soon. Now, there is going to be just the one area of jimping on the blade spine, and to be honest with you guys, it is really not that effective at all. It's really, yeah, it does not provide any kind of traction there. Now, the 4.125 inch G10 scales are very comfortable. I mean, there are no sharp edges anywhere. And as you can see, I can fit all 4 of my fingers. I also really, really like the texture of these scales. I don't know, they feel really, really good. And so, of course, they do provide some pretty darn good traction as well. Now, I know the pocket clip, it's not really all that exciting. I mean, it's just, you know, some stamped steel, but I love the length of it. I always appreciate when a clip takes up less than half of the handle, so less than 50% like this one does. And as you can see, it is going to be a deep carry clip, so it will be tip up only for righties. Hey, look at that! We do get lefty love from Tangram. Thank you so much. The Santa Fe is just an absolute joy to carry, and that's going to be, well, for 2 reasons. The closed width of 1.21 inches, so how much room across that's going to take up in your pocket, and the handle thickness is only at 0.43. My goodness. I want to grab the scale and let's quickly see how much this is going to weigh you down. Before I go ahead and toss this up on the scale, I just wanted to show you here. I am so glad that they decided to go with the open construction with just the 2 barrel spaces. I mean, it just makes it a heck of a lot easier to put like a rag or something through there to clean it out. And I want to try and show you, see if I can show you the insides here. But they did actually skeletonize just the one liner, so of course it's going to be the non-locking side to reduce the weight. Well, in an attempt to reduce the weight, and let's see how that is affected. Wow, okay, 3.4 ounces, which I believe, yeah, is just about 4 AA batteries, or very close to the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Now, as with all knives, we do have to get into some of the potential deal breakers of the Tangram Santa Fe. Before we do, I would like to quickly remind you to go ahead and click on that subscribe button if you're looking for knife reviews that get right to the point. And now, to be honest with you, there are not many potential deal breakers at all. Actually, there is only 3 of them. So, starting with potential deal breaker number 1, we are going to talk about the tip. And if you look at it, it really does taper down to a very fine, delicate, very delicate looking tip. And I'm going to bring in the Paramilitary 2 here. So if you look on the left side, we're going to compare the two tips because the PM2 is, it's been criticized for the lack of tip strength. And you can see here on the Santa Fe that it is a little bit finer of a tip going on. Now, I don't mean to scare anyone off by talking about that, because if you use your knife as it's intended to be used, you should have no troubles at all. Next potential deal breaker, number 2, is going to be regarding, well, the jimping. And it's terrible. And I know I touched on that just a few minutes ago. I really wish that there was some jimping, maybe down here, because there's not much of a choil, so there isn't too much preventing your hand from slipping forward. Really, you're going to kind of be relying on the traction of that G10. So, minor complaint, but I would like to see just a little bit more jimping here. And the last potential deal breaker is going to be regarding its availability. I mean, now this is a budget folder, and you can only purchase it as of right now on Amazon. So now where does that leave us with the Tangram Santa Fe? Well, let's talk about that. But before we do, I have a question that I would like to ask you guys. And my question to you would be, if you could change the method of deployment for any knife in the world, so if you could change the deployment from, let's say, thumb studs to a flipper tab and vice versa, which knife would you pick to change that deployment? And I'll go ahead and tell you mine right now is going to be the Kershaw Blur. I would love to see a little flipper tab on the Blur. Now, everybody might not agree with that, but that's my choice. Now, in the Tangram line, there are a couple other models that they do offered, and I've actually tried out and reviewed the Tangram Vector and the Progression. And out of those knives, the Santa Fe is by far my favorite. Now, if you would like to see why, at the end of this video, if you click up there in the corner, you can watch my full review of the Vector and the Progression. So let's get into it. I mean, so for really, there's not much to think about here, because for $25 to $30, you are just getting an insanely useful knife that I honestly feel beats out, flat out, most Ganzo knives. I mean, you're getting a knife with an excellent, and I mean excellent, blade to handle ratio. Not only that, it is lightweight. It features decent budget steel. The action is very, very good. In the pocket, you will barely notice this. And on top of all of that, it is just a damn good looking knife. The only other knife that honestly that comes to mind that some might consider a little better than the Santa Fe would be the Rake P801. Man, wouldn't that make just an awesome comparison video?